times and about a few days left. And you're going to have to look these scriptures up, because I'm not going to put them up there. I'm just going to read them out here. But you can start with Ezekiel 9. And the hardship we're going to face is we're looking at the world now, and we look at what's going on. And not only in the church, but throughout the world, the atrocities that's being caused at this moment in time. And we know that Jesus Christ is soon coming back. It's sooner than people think. It's close that some people reckon we won't even make it to 2017 before Christ returns. But the emphasis now is on the short time that's left. God says nobody knows the day or the hour, but we can read the signs. Because he said like that we know the weather. There's a red sky at night, shepherd's delight, red sky in the morning, shepherd's morning. You can read the signs of the weather, but you can't read the signs of the coming back of the Son of God. So, we're in this position now. We're in these last days. And God asked me the question of, everybody's talking now of the taking on the mark of the beast in the last days and everything else. And I said, Lord, what is the mark of the beast? Now I myself this is back in 1995, I was studying the same thing, and I came up with one of the things that they were producing at the time was a microchip that would be implanted by a pulse in your forehead and by the pulse in your wrist. And Revelation tells you the mark of the beast will be on your forehead and upon your hand. Now, that's what I thought. I thought, when the time comes and they offer it me, you got no chance. I can refuse it. They've even brought it out at the moment, medically. They've got a medical one that they say will help you if you have it inserted either onto your forehead or your wrist. That, let's say, you're abroad, you collapse, something happens, all your medical history is upon this microchip. So they know what medicines to give you, not to give you, if you're unconscious, that sort of thing. So logically, it sounds a good idea. And I thought, Lord, well, I'm not going to fall for it, however it comes. And the Holy Spirit spoke to me and said, at the moment, we're all so concerned about the mark of the beast. He said, what about us taking on the mark of God? And I said, Lord, I don't understand that. Ezekiel 9, it says, on verse 4, and the Lord said to him, go through the midst of the city, through the midst of Jerusalem, and put a mark on the forehead of the men who sigh and cry over all the abominations that are done with you. God said, put a mark on the forehead of all those that cry at the abominations that are going on. Now, that is not a physical sign. We're not going to have, I belong to God, written onto your forehead, or the number 777. So what is it? What is the mark of God. If we go down to verse 6 of the same chapter, it says, sorry, verse 5, to the others he said, hearing, go after him through the city and kill, and do not let you spare, not even have any pity. Utterly slay the old, the young, the maidens, the children, the women, but do not come near anyone on whom is the mark. And begin at my sanctuary. So they began with the elders who were before the temple. If you start from verse 1, it tells you there are going to be 6 angels with awesome murdering weapons. And then there's going to be one dressed in linen with the ink of the riser's horn on his side. And Jesus is going to go through and he's going to mark on all those. Read what it says. Put it on those that cry and weep and in despair at the atrocities that are going on. It's not everybody, it's not every Jew, not every born-again spirit-filled. Only those that cry and weep and are desperately bored like God of the atrocities. Then, put a mark on the forehead. How do you know that you're born again? How do we know by people how they're born again? Our thinking changes. Your forehead. Your thinking changes. It turns from thinking how the devil taught you to think to how God's teaching you to think. You take on the mind of Christ.
Amen.
Your forehead. Your actions tell whether you've taken on the mind of Christ. You won't have 777, just as you won't have 666. When you take on the thoughts of the devil and the ways of the devil and ignore the atrocities, if you're not moved by what's going on today, you will not receive the mark of God on your forehead. So when these angels of death come through with the atrocities, you will not escape. You will escape only if you've got the mind of Christ and you're absolutely aboard at the atrocities that have been happening in the world today. If you go to Revelation chapter 3, you'll get there eventually, so I'll just read it. Verse 8 says, to the faithful church, I know your works, I see set before you an open door, and no one can shut it. For you have little strength, but you kept my word, and you have not denied my name. Verse 10, because you've kept my commands to preserve, I also will keep you from the hour of trial which will come upon the whole earth, to test those who dwell on earth. Verse 11, behold, I am coming quickly. Hold fast to what you have, and you may take your crown. Verse 12, he who overcomes, I'll make him a pillar with the temple of my God, and he shall go out no more. Get this, I will write on him the name of my God and the name of the city of the New Jerusalem. Who? The faithful. The one that endures the end is going to have. Not everybody. In Ezekiel 9 it says that this attack starts where? In the sanctuary. In God's house. Who's it going to start with? Stand up, Dave. Stand up, Carl. Stand up, Karen. Stand up, Brian. Stand up, Walter. Stand up, Scott. Where's he going to start? With the elders. With the elders. Our thinking has got to change. Thanks, lads. Glasses. Our thinking has got to change. Our thinking has got to change to godly thinking. Else we're not going to receive the mark. What we're going to do is suffer the destruction that's coming. Why? Because we haven't changed our thinking. This is why I ask, has the church already taken on the mark of the beast? And because it's not a physical thing that you can see, I think they haven't. Have we really changed our thinking? Are we really bored and detest the things that are happening in this world? Do we sit and cry over what's happening in the world today? Matthew 24. And verse 4 says that Jesus answered them and said, "Take heed that no one deceives you, for many will come in my name saying, I am the Christ, and will deceive many." Verse 6, "And you will hear of wars, rumours of wars. See that you are not troubled, for all these things must come to pass. But the end is not yet." Are we hearing wars? Rumours of wars? "For the nation will rise against nation, kingdom against kingdom, and there will be famines, pestilence, earthquakes of various places." We've just heard about the earthquakes in Nepal that destroyed so many, and the world didn't roar over that one. But we've heard and seen many. Verse 8 says, "These are the beginnings of sorrows." It's not the end, but let's look at the signs that are coming. Let's take heed to what's coming. Verse 9, "Then they will deliver you up to tribulation and kill you, and you will be hated by all nations for my name's sake. And then many will be offended and betray one another. Verse 13, "But he who endures to the end shall be saved." Verse 14, I want you to speak this one out. "But he who overcomes to the end, this gospel of the kingdom will be preached in all the world as witnesses to the nations. Then the end will come." What gospel? The gospel of the kingdom. How many years have we been trying to get into this church and the churches? Kingdom, 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 kingdom. Seek ye first the kingdom, the kingdom, the kingdom, the kingdom. Forget your own kingdom. I'm saying it now. Forget what's best for you when you're voting. What's best for the kingdom? Not what's best. We're not appalled by the atrocities of today. You will not take the mark of God on your forehead. And when you vote, God's given us an opportunity to do something about the atrocities that are happening in not only this country, but throughout the world. Never before in the history of this country have we seen the opportunity to stand against evil. And we better take it. Hear me, church. This message is not just for the next few days. It's going to continue after voting. It's going to continue after. We better understand the kingdom is the most important thing, the most important gospel you can preach. The kingdom, the kingdom, the kingdom, the kingdom. Then the end will come. Still in 24, verse 42, watch therefore, for you do not know the hour the Lord is coming. But notice that if the master of the house had known the hour the thief would come, he would have watched and not allowed the house to be broken into. Therefore also be ready, for the Son of Man is coming in an hour you do not expect. Verse 45. Who then is faithful? And who is the wise servant, whom the master had made ruler over his household, to give food in due season? Blessed to that servant who the master, when he comes, will what? Find doing. Find doing. Not thinking, not wishing, not wanting to, not having good ideas, but doing. Doing what? The gospel of the kingdom. And doing everything they can within their power to stop the atrocities that are happening in this end time. That's where God's people will be. Their thinking will change, and they'll take the mark of God on their forehead, and their thinking will change in a way that, Lord, whatever it takes, whatever I've got to suffer, whatever pain I've got to go through, this message of the gospel of the kingdom is going to go out. And I am appalled at what's happening today. And I cry out to God, not only just pray to change it, but do something about it. When he finds them doing, it's no use just thinking it's horrible. It's no use just thinking, I wish I could do something about it. It's just terrible. God said, do something. Do physically. This is why the mark of the beast is coming on the forehead and the hand. The forehead is your thinking. Your hand is the works of your hand. So God is saying in Matthew 24, church, hear me. It's not good just you thinking. It's not good just your thinking changing. It's no use just thinking that I love Jesus and I love the people and I want. It's no use just thinking it. Do it. Do something about it. God is saying, those that do will take the mark of the beast. He's saying, Matthew 20, these are the signs, and it's coming very close. And every individual will be judged accordingly. Listen, verse 45. So there is the faithful servant, verse 48. But if that evil servant says in his heart, my master is delaying his coming, and begins to beat his fellow servants and to eat and drink with the drunkards, the master of the servant will come on a day when he is not looking for him, and an hour that he is not aware of, and will cut him in two and appoint him the portion with the hypocrites, where there is weeping and gnashing of teeth. the moment in time, all those that ask Jesus Christ into the Lord, we are the servants of the Most High God. This ain't talking about the world. This ain't talking about, this is talking about God's servants. He's saying it's no use you just thinking this. You better be found doing when I get back. And those that are not doing, he's talking about the thief coming in to rob the master's house. We are supposed to be watchmen. We're supposed to be saying, like I try on us, especially on a Sunday, I'm warning you, church. I'm warning you what's coming. You can take no notice. You can shake your heads. You can disagree with it. But I'm warning you what's coming. I'm warning you, church. We've got to change our thinking. And it starts with the elders. And it has started with our elders. And I thank God, listening to the revelations that you're sharing on the Sunday, lads, I think, God, is our thinking changing? Wow, so much. And it's going to change more. And they're going to do more. And more is going to be expected of us. But it starts here. And then we've got to physically do it. And we've got to be found doing it when he returns. And we can say, oh, it's not quite yet. He's going to come in an hour that nobody knows, which can see the signs, but you don't know how close it is. Revelation 13, verse 16. Now, the whole of Revelation 13 talks about the beast, the dragon. These are all metaphors of the beast. It's not a physical beast and it's not a physical dragon. It's a metaphor of the beast. It's a metaphor of the dragon. Why would God suddenly change it when he gets to 13? The metaphor of the mark of the beast and your forehead and your hand is now going to be physical. It's a metaphor. It's a metaphor of the mark of the beast. That's why you ain't going to see it, because it's in your thinking and the works of your hand. It's what you think and what you do. If what you think is not the kingdom and what you do is not the kingdom, you've already taken on the mark of the beast. And you don't know it. This is the importance of these last days, of making sure that we're so kingdom-minded. I can't express enough. Just like, Ezekiel 9:4 says, the mark of God is a metaphor. It's not a 777. It's a metaphor. He's saying to the one dressed in white linen, go write on the foreheads of those that are appalled of what the atrocities that are happening. Not every born again spirit-filled Christian go and write on the forehead. Only those that are appalled of what's happening in this world today. Then we take it on in our thinking. We take on the mind of Christ. And then we start to do what God tells us to do. No matter who it offends, no matter who it upsets, no matter those that know me, as long as there's never been a time that I've never spoken God's truth. No matter who walks away, no matter who hates me, no matter who speaks against me, I will never, ever not tell the truth of God's word. And I'm one of the first to say, when God tells me, like He's told me this one, Lord, forgive me. I am so sorry. I won't carry on in my wrongness. I stop immediately and say, okay, Lord, I've got it wrong. I thought it was a physical, I thought it was a physical number that we were going to see. I thought it was a physical number that I could refuse. But if you say in Ezekiel 9, this is a metaphor of the mark of God, well, I must assume that in Revelation 13, it's just as much as a metaphor of the mark of the beast. It's not something physical. We're going to say it's not something physical you can say yes or no to. It's going to be your mind thinking and the works of your hand. How can we say that in practice? Rebecca, if you put the first slide up. The police ignored the rape gangs, listen to this, to chase Labour's targets. To chase Labour's targets for car theft, which would earn more bonuses. A former detective said, money was diverted away from protecting the vulnerable girls from rape to traffic offences. Who by Labour. Labour candidates. Labour were more concerned, and we can say, well, it's not the whole of Labour. I'm telling you, if there's godly Christian men and women in the Labour, they should be saying, I'm appalled at the atrocities and I'm going to do something about it, even if I have to leave this degenerate party and stand alone. But I am not going to be part of this filth. And the next one back. The Labour Party looked past and covered up the molestation of thousands of children, all in the name of political correctness. Get this. By giving Labour your vote, you're defending them. Is that okay? This one is from a magazine I got through from UKIP. And Nigel Farage is saying he doesn't hate Europeans, he hates the EU. He's not against Europe, he's against the EU. And what is marked on here is he calls it the voice of the EU from the belly of the beast. Now, this is Sunday. It ain't born again, washed in the blood of the Lamb. But he can say that the EU is the metaphor that God said about the beast. Yes, we're going to vote for people Sarah Champion knew for a year, which is the Labour MP in Rotherham, about the abuse in Rotherham. She said nothing because she was scared of losing her job. She was scared of losing her job as a Labour MP, so she remained silent. They don't abhor the atrocities, they don't hate the atrocities that's going on. But we should be. And God has given us an opportunity to do something about it. And what we're saying is, but I know a Christian lady or Christian, some time ago in Redditch, people voted for Jacqueline Smith because she was a woman and she believed certain and thought it was best for Redditch, not best for the kingdom, best for Redditch, and voted for her. It turns out that she, like many others, were fiddling the expenses and cheating this country out of money. Her own, she was even claiming expenses for her own husband to watch porno films. He was watching porno film, she was putting in the receipts and claiming the money back for what it was costing to watch porno films. Did they sack her? They promoted her. They promoted her. They took her out of office here and Redditch, but they promoted her. Listen, church, aren't you all appalled? If you're not, you should be. That there is horrific betrayal of 1,400 children. You know the group that allowed it and covered it up? Labour. Labour. Yes, there may be Christians in Labour, but they should be screaming out louder than anybody else. This is disgraceful. This is but they're not. Let's get the vote. Let's vote them back in again. Do you know Ed Miliband is an atheist, a declared atheist? Oh, well, it doesn't matter. Let's vote him in. Let's vote him in. Church, listen to me. You either get rid of the mark of the beast. Conservatives are no better. The actual European Union, the actual building where they're housed, all the seating for all those, I've got a list of every seat that's occupied by an EU member, MEP, should I say, to decide what happens in our country. The laws aren't made in our country. They're made by the EU. The lying toe rags can't change immigration struggles in this country because the EU won't give them permission. The EU makes our laws while we're in the EU. We can only come out. And the men that are saying, yeah, we want out as well, we're condemning them. Oh, let's vote Conservative. We know he's a lying toe rag. He's lied and lied and lied and lied and lied in the back. He ain't going to tell the truth now. So why do we vote to put liars back in? Why do we vote to put people that cause the atrocities and allow them to turn a blind eye? Why? Why? When we've got the opportunity to say, Lord, I'm going to go with at least somebody that is telling the truth. The one person, and I'm saying this because God has given us the opportunity, the one person that is speaking up on behalf of this country and Christianity is Nigel Farage. I'm going to read you something that Ed Miliband said he's going to do if he gets into power. If we let him into power, all the atrocities that Islam is doing, and all the people that are speaking out and standing against Islam, this is a statement from Ed Miliband. Labour would outlaw Islamophobia. We're going to make it aggravated crime. We're going to make sure that it's marked on people's records with the police to make sure they root out Islamophobia as a hate crime. You say, if they get into power and you say anything about Muslims, they're going to make sure that it's a hate crime against it. This is Labour. And also, he is guaranteed that you look at how the schools are funded now, and he is guaranteed, Ed Miliband has guaranteed that this year, if he gets into power, they're going to put finances for 15 all Muslim schools. Muslim only, they're going to finance at least 15 all Muslim schools. I'll read you what Nigel Farage said. The UK Independent Party has said that it would protect the religious freedom of Christians in the workplace by extending the concept of reasonable accommodation. UKIP joins the Democratic Union Party, the Christian Party and the Christian People Alliance in supporting a change in the law to protect the freedom of conscience. UKIP are doing this, not Labour, not Conservatives, and yet we're so foolish to let the devil con you into thinking, you can't vote Labour, you can't vote Conservative. Kingdom. What's best for the kingdom? I'll tell you what's best for the kingdom is the truth of God's word. If we don't, church, make a stand and do what's right by God, you're going to pay the price. This one is the seating arrangement in the EU. Starting at number 60 is 660 is a man called Marcini. 661 is Montfort. 662 is Quezero. 663 is Southjet. 664 is Thomas Moreau. 665 is Zizina. 666 is vacant. It's empty. It's been empty from the beginning. It's waiting to seat the Antichrist. And he will be seated in Europe. That is the beast that is going to take over, or the one world order. And there's nobody willing to give this country a vote to get us out other than Cameron is lying through his teeth now, saying that, oh yeah, we'll give you the vote now. Because you see how popular UKIP has got by saying we want out of Europe. The whole of the country is saying we want out of Europe. We've had enough in Europe. We've had enough. Isn't it about time Christians voiced their opinion and said to the stupid, you can't condone these atrocities that have gone on with these kids and are still going on? One of the biggest places that is still happening is Manchester, Labour, because they're hiding. Why? Because they want the Muslim vote. They've admitted they remain silent, and Cameron, because they want the Muslim vote. This disgraced me, and I've sent it round to the leaders. I don't know how many actually signed it and sent it back, but the one and only person that is actually got a petition going round and wants people to sign it to get this public inquiry into the rape of these girls made public is a Muslim candidate for UKIP. A Muslim candidate for UKIP in Bradford is desperately trying to get people to sign to get this to a public inquiry. You know who's trying to stop him? Labour. What's the matter with us? We'll go back now to Ezekiel 9. If you are not appalled, you are not going to get the mark of God on your forehead. So when this destruction comes, and when these angels of death come through, that are causing all the murderous atrocities now, we're going to be part of it. Once again, is our thinking the same as the beast and the word? How many, what bothers me is even like a petition against. How many are even doing the petition? The time is coming very soon, and you're going to have to fight for this in your schools. You know that they're making it law as soon as they can, that your kids are going to have to go to mosques and learn how to be accept Islam. I'll stand for this one. You cannot be accused of racism if you say anything against Islam. Islam is not a race. It's a religion. It's an evil religion. It's a religion that is full of death and hate. Somebody put on Facebook, you know the difference between a moderate Muslim and a fanatic? A change in clothes. They showed a picture of a doctor that has now joined ISIS as a jihad. A doctor from this country has joined ISIS. And they said, what's the difference between a moderate Muslim and these fanatics? A change of clothes. He's changing clothes from being a doctor. Church, wake up. Do something about it. On Thursday, God has given us an opportunity to make a difference in this country. Go against your traditions and everything else. I don't care. But it's not me you're going to face. It's your maker you're going to face. But I've always voted Labour. Don't you care the atrocities that they're doing to these kids? Oh yeah, but I thought I'd ignored it. But they've ignored it. The moment you do these things, you take on the mark of the beast. And where's it going to start? In the sanctuary. Where's it going to start? Here. Elders of the church. It's going to start with us first. You better get your mind on the kingdom. Matthew 24. Those that preach the gospel of the kingdom. They're the ones that are going to get the Father's name written on their forehead. Revelation 3. The faithful church, the faithful ones that remain faithful to the end, the ones that stand with the atrocities to the end. The only reason I'm standing with you people is because I'll always stand for right. If they change afterwards, nothing I can do about it. But for me, I did everything I could to do something for those kids, to do something for the Christians. If you vote to keep us in Europe and have these Muslims, then you explain it to your God. Don't explain it to me. Are you going to say nothing more about it? I'm going to see what God does on Thursday. You think, oh, I know. I'll pretend that I'm doing something about it. But when he comes in, nobody knows where I've put my cross. Only God. And it's his name you want written on your forehead, not mine. Think it through, church. Think what I'm saying. And I'm saying this now because I thought, Lord, it's a bit late for get this message out. We're voting Thursday. He says it ain't all about. I don't know whether we can get this one. One picture, there's a church in Pakistan that are praying for the success of UKIP. And they're actually holding up a banner for UKIP, for Nigel Farage. Why are they praying? Because their relatives in this country are being persecuted for being Christian by Muslims. And God has got them praying. At our church, are we on our knees praying for the success of UKIP? No, because, I'm thinking, our local candidate, she professes to be Christian, so, I want to go for that. What about the atrocity? She won't be in power. What she represents will be in power. And then if she comes to my door, she'll get it. I'll say, why aren't you on your knees begging God's forgiveness for allowing these atrocities from your own candidates? Church, speak out. Psalm 130, no, Proverbs 138. Speak out for those that are about to die, that cannot have their own voice. Speak out for them. You're getting an opportunity on Thursday to do exactly that. Those that can't. The kids are still being raped. They're still going through atrocities. Still happening under our very nose. Why? Because we're saying nothing. Because has the church already taken on the mark of the beast in his forehead and by the works of his hands? You ask yourselves, church, search your hearts before God. Amen.